7 p.m.
Now it's time for KFM Hotseat. Catch the fire tonight on KFM's Hotseat. Every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hotseat. The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hotseat tonight. KFM's Hotseat. Every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m. KFM's Hotseat. Only on 933 KFM.
Good evening, Uganda. You're listening to 933 KFM, and this is the Friday panel of journalists. Standing in for Andrew Mwenda is me, Kwezi Tabaru. And today in studio, we are discussing the rise in criminality in the city, as well as the political party mobilization tours that are happening across the country. NUP is currently in Palisa district, and earlier in the week, the NUP leadership was in Kamuli district, a trip that didn't end without incident following police's blocking of the NUP party president and his delegation from addressing their supporters. Time allowing, we'll also discuss President William Samoei Ruto's state visit to the United States, where it looks like the US has pulled out everything they can to entertain President Ruto and his delegation. What does this mean for Kenya? What does this mean for his presidency as Kenya joins the exclusive club of US allies on the continent? Joining me in studio today, I'll begin with Frank Mujimba, who is a regular on the show. I have Jimmy Achalam Odoki, who is also a regular on the show. And I have a special guest with me, Christopher Okidi. The last time I met him, he was in DP politics, and we're all students at the university. I haven't seen him in almost 8 years. Christopher, how are you doing?
I am good.
All right.
Yeah.
Before we delve into the stories, just to let you know that your Saturday copy of the Monitor is already on the streets, and the headline in the paper tomorrow is "New Details Emerge on Kiwetere Death." Buy your paper and find out about a study by two prominent psychiatrists that indicates that Joseph Chiwetere, one of the leaders of the movement for the restoration of the 10 Commandments of God, a cult that killed over 1,000 people in the year 2000 in Kanungu, how he died in 1998 or thereabouts, according to the findings. And they're saying that he likely died from diabetes. We also have coverage of the pilgrims trek to Namugongo. There's a beautiful picture here of Kasese pilgrims making their way to Namugongo. In the news, you also have a story on Bobby Wine's Taylor. We also have how Uganda risks losing over 210 billion in loan guarantees. Find out why this is the case. But gentlemen, maybe I should start with you, Chris. This is the first time I'm hosting you on the show.
Yeah.
What exactly is happening in our city? I keep seeing these very nasty videos of citizens being ambushed. There's a new technique called a round kick or something like that. Someone is walking on the streets at 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Then some young men walk from behind them. They strike you in a very professional way, and then the victim passes out. They take their belongings and disappear. First was the victim on, I think, somewhere in Munyonyo. Then we saw another one on Bench Wanka Street. Police today, I saw, paraded one of the suspects. But what exactly is happening? We're used to seeing such things in Nairobi and other major cities, and certainly not in Kampala.
Yeah, it is good you actually say Nairobi, because Kampala is also developing. And you know, urban crime is directly linked with the economy. Yeah, and that is so. The more we grow as an economy, in fact, our growth as Kampala, or our urban development, should also go in side by side with development in terms of our security. And you know, you cannot rely only on traditional security such as the police, the military.
We have lots of LDUs.
Yeah, security should also now be broadened to include human security. Because inequality, poverty is actually the drive of some of these crime incidences you see. You rightly mentioned yourself saying that when they attack you, they go away with your belongings. I don't think these criminals have any personal issue with anybody or any of their victims. But what happens is that I think the economic space, of course, is shrinking with urban development, rising costs. So people look for extra legal means to survive. So I think as a country, we need to begin thinking about security, not only
in a wholesome perspective.
In a wholesome perspective, human security, the underclass in society. What are you providing for them? We have a lot of ghettos. I actually came today early here at 5:30, and I had a chance to walk into the ghettos of Namwongo, Wabigalo area. Yeah, as I was waiting for the show, because I was 1 hour and 30 minutes early. So it gave me, in fact, actually, this is what we call, I did a small scoping exercise to see how people live. And then I am actually not surprised with what is happening. And when you also look at settlement patterns, when an area develops, there is going to be an underclass in society that will always live within those areas. And that is what creates slums, because they need easy access to work for the people
who have the resources.
Yeah, who have the resources. So I think it is the responsibility of everybody, not only the state. Even those who, for example, if I employ somebody, it is incumbent upon me to ensure that I give someone a decent pay so that he can be able to sort out his immediate needs, so that he does not have any incentive for violence and engaging in crime and criminality.
Jimmy, do you agree that this is a reflection of the economic situation in the country, that, as Christopher is saying, because on our KFM group, the former radio manager of this station, Joseph Beyanga, told us a very intriguing story how this week he was accosted by 3 young men, I think around 5:30 p.m.
Which is so early.
Yes, on Speak Road, and they were shaking him down for money. Criminality now is no longer a nighttime activity, and it's no longer a preserve of the ghettos, as he was saying, because this was right at on Speak Road, less than a kilometer from State House, less than a kilometer from the Parliament of Uganda. So this is not a ghetto issue.
Not entirely. I think mostly could be ghetto, but in the case of Joseph Beyanga, could have been people trailing him. There are cases of people who are followed. They know you, and they know your pattern of movement, and they follow individuals. But I think largely it's a question of inequality, economic inequality, the people who have versus the people who don't have. And these are mostly youthful people. The borders are used. So it's a lot to do with the inequality and, joblessness. People don't have jobs. They're trying to survive by all means.
And what do you have to say about police's efforts to apprehend these criminals or suspects? Because what is rather intriguing is, I don't know which comes first, that all these crimes are captured on camera. Is it because our cameras are doing such a wonderful job, or the crime is so widespread that even the small spots that have cameras will capture them?
It's interesting. You don't know whether those are cameras for the police or they are
CCTV cameras in the neighborhood.
Yes, individuals' private ones. But the fact that it's all over social media means that they know they're being watched. Perhaps it's just they don't care. And the police it's overwhelmed. They cannot be, there are so many cases.
But I see in these last 2 incidents, at least they've apprehended suspects. In the issue of the incident on Benchwanka Street, I saw a tweet from the Uganda police this evening that they had arrested some suspects.
Yeah, credit should be given to them. They're trying their best in the circumstances. But if there are so many cases around, it becomes very difficult to keep track of whatever happens. because it's apparent that they are becoming so many. So the police is stretched. It's the numbers to follow all the cases. It becomes very difficult.
Is there a role for citizens? There used to be something called neighborhood watch in this town. I don't know what happened to it.
There's a role
community policing.
There's a role for citizens, but when those things happen, and you go to try and help, and maybe try to find out, you might become a victim. So sometimes people just watch. When things are happening, they just go on, and they don't care, because they know when you try to intervene to help a victim, you become a victim. But ideally, we should be looking out for each other and helping, our
Frank Mjimba, do you think this is an indictment on your NRM government? Because security, or the provision of security, has been on your radar, and on one of the major achievements that President Museveni says he has managed to bring peace and stability to all the corners of Uganda, and that Ugandans can go to bed well assured that they will wake up in the morning and nothing will have happened to them. Well, now in Kampala, you're not even assured that you will reach your home before someone gives you a round kick.
Okay, for starters, I would like to first mention that I would call this another phase of criminality. I think criminality has been in these urban areas. You remember the cases where you had Pangau dead men in Masaka killing people, even here in Kampala. You've heard of stories where people attack police and they take away guns and use them to commit crime. So crime has been around, but I think this is just another phase. But for me, this is a bit special. I wouldn't want to attach it to economics or the economic poor performance or something like that. I find this kind of crime is a bit sophisticated. I have a feeling that this is so organized. You might not want to call it one of these crimes that maybe are committed by people from the ghettos or these. So this looks like organized crime. It's like there is some sort of sophistication, and you have a marker who does surveillance for a number of days, following you. They get to know what exactly you do, and by the time they strike, because there is no way you can attack someone randomly to the extent of taking their lives or even killing them, because when you look at those kicks, they're really strong. You find that some of these people have actually died. So you find that by the time this person strikes to kill you, they actually know that you have something that is so valuable to them. So it's like they track you for a number of days, and until they strike and take whatever you have. So I feel this is organized crime. So everybody has to be vigilant in whatever you do. If you're carrying valuables on you, it should be upon you to, first of all, you should be vigilant. You should have personal security. You shouldn't move maybe at night or going into.
But many of these victims who are attacked, they were walking home in the early hours of the evening. This is 7 p.m., 8 p.m.
That's why I'm saying someone has been doing surveillance on you, and they plan where they're going to strike.
So people should be going back home by 5 p.m.?
Not by 5 p.m. as such, but
no, 2 p.m.?
No.
Or not be predictable, random.
No, what maybe I would advise is not carrying what I would call valuables onto you at such a time.
Because what valuables? These criminals are snatching phones, bags, wallets.
This time
you want people to leave their wallets at home?
This time around, these people are not snatching, are not taking wallets. They are normally from the videos, the footage that I have seen. These people are attacking people who have maybe what you would call laptop bags, and probably they know there is something that is so valuable in your bag, or even opening people's cars, and they know that something that is so valuable is there. So they have done their surveillance. They know that when they strike, they are going to take something that is so valuable. So this is why I call upon, I think, even the assistance of these cameras, CCTV cameras, either by government or even by private owners. They have really helped. So security should step in to try and fight this.
But don't you find a contradiction that while this criminality is growing. There is a certain class of Ugandans that is shielded from this reality. They have police patrol cars to clear the roads for them. 2-3 policemen at their homes. There are the policemen following them at their offices. And this applies to leaders across the board. Heads of government parastatals, ministers, commissioners, and all that. So meaning the resources, the security resources that we would have deployed on our streets are concentrated, providing security to a few elites.
Yeah, I think that is really challenging, but still, I really don't think that, because the people that are
every busybody in Kampala now walks around or drives around with
some of these people that are attacked,
6-7 policemen.
But also, it is challenging because some of these people are attacked. What you would call normal people. So are you saying government is going to provide security to even...
The government should provide security to all Ugandans. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, more of this discussion.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. Right at you, only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back from the break. You're listening to the Friday panel journalists on 933 KFM this Friday. And we're discussing the major stories of the week, key amongst which is the rising cases of criminality within the city. We've seen that CCTV footage of ordinary citizens being assaulted on their way to work, on their way home, by these young or youthful criminal gangs. And before we went into the break, we were hearing from Frank Majimba on what could be the cause of these security challenges. I want to come to you, Christopher Kidi.
Yes.
Picking up from what I was explaining to Frank, that you have a situation where anybody who is anyone in this country has, at the bare minimum, a lead car and a follow car. Each car has 6 policemen. Those are 12 policemen at any one time guarding an individual. And that is before you add in the 2 who are at home and a few others who are stationed at their workplace. But drawing on your concept of human security, is this the best way to utilize our police?
First of all, actually you asked him a question which I think he did not answer. That is this an indictment on government? Because I
thought that was tactful on his part.
Because one thing, the state should have monopoly over violence. By the mere fact that we are talking about criminals who are armed, who also have some share in the violence vis-a-vis the state, is definitely an...
It emasculates the state.
Yes, it is an indictment on the state. So what we would advise the state to ensure that they have proper control and monopoly over violence. Then coming to the question, which I think is also very important, I think the Daily Monitor about 7 years ago did a study on that and released how we spend most of our security human resource in
guarding
VIPs who are actually not even safe. Let me tell you, if personally, or if anyone, a terrorist or anybody, a thief, wants to get any minister in this country and shoot them, they will shoot them. Because they even did that to a general, Katumba Wamala. They will do that. So they should not... In fact, they say the best security is shared prosperity. So those people, instead of putting in a lot of... Instead of denying citizens with the human resource for security, they should emphasize their roles more. Let them do their work, pass proper legislations, pass proper economic policies, social policies, and have a political program that advances the well-being of not only the state, developing not only the state, but also individuals. That, for me, I think that is the security. We need to be like a country. I was in Germany one time with the Mao Mugisha Muntu, and we were sleeping in the main business district at an hotel called Pestana. And when I got out of the hotel, they were just, in fact, it is in the center, the
city center
area. That's where you also get the parliament and all that. So you just see officials in those countries moving seriously, moving without any security drama, without any drama on the street. And I think if I know most of our leaders go to benchmark abroad. Although the sanctions are now all over the place, they may not be able to go and benchmark. But for us who don't have sanctions on us and can access these places, should always come and tell them that, you see, security, that do not over-embellish your security. In any case, you're not even safe. If they want you, they'll shoot you. Technology is advancing, drones, technology, you see, all that can happen. So to sum it up, I just think that they are not as safe as they are. So they don't need to waste all that human resource. The state should get serious on ensuring it has monopoly over violence and then let the country work for everyone.
Jimmy,
shared prosperity.
I just wanted to respond something small before you go to Jimmy Kwezi. Just excuse me. I wouldn't want you to look at Uganda as some sort of an island. I believe that criminality is part of society. Even when you look at the developed countries, go to the USA, go to South Africa, go to all these developed countries, I think criminality is part and parcel of society. It is not something that is only that is attached to Uganda, that because maybe there is what you would call unfair distribution of resources, and this is the monopoly cause of this criminality.
But do you agree that there was a time in Uganda in the recent past where crime was not this rampant?
Yes, but okay, you will also need to remind me when was that, because
criminals were not as overzealous as they are with their actions today, that they will attack you in broad daylight. You've seen mobs of border riders.
I would want to know what period of time that was, because as early as 2015, I think we had started hearing the killing of Muslim clerics. We had this was Islamic terrorism, slightly different. Still, it is criminality. But
you see, this was targeting Muslim leaders. They were targeting Muslim leaders, not ordinary people on the streets.
But even here, they are targeting people that maybe are carrying valuables. So it's not that everyone an inch on the street is attached.
Yeah, did you see the video of a man who was hit with a pavo on the head at 3 a.m.?
On a border?
Yes, on a border.
Yes.
What was he carrying?
Anyway, I need to. But what I wanted to arrive at is that these criminalities or these kinds of crimes evolve, and it takes time. It might not be some long time, but it takes time for security forces to study this criminality, how it is done, and they fight it. So I'll give you an example. Maybe, like I was saying, like in 2015, these people were targeted, but after the security analyzed how this criminality is committed, they fought it, and it is not something that you can still hear today. Men wielded with pangas and getting into people's homes and cutting people, even stealing property, stealing of guns from police stations. This is something that was done. But security forces sit down and analyze this criminality, and then they try to apprehend it. So I also believe that this will be studied by the security forces. It is not something that has been happening for a long period of time. You remember the killing of women in Entebbe and Nansan and Wakiso. So this is something that security forces need to sit down and study how it is actually done, and then that is when they can be able to fight it.
Jimmy, I want to come to you because yes, we're looking at it as a security problem, but in my view, especially with crime in Kampala, it reminds me of something called the broken windows theory. You've read of the broken windows theory? That this was a study that was done in the US. I think it was in New York. That if you have a neighborhood where you allow certain dysfunction, if, for example, there are two neighborhoods, in one neighborhood, windows are broken and no one bothers to repair them, and in another neighborhood, if there's a window broken, someone quickly rushes, fixes it. If there's a pothole, it's fixed and all that. You realize that in these neighborhoods that are abandoned, criminality begins to creep up. Because criminals, I don't know the psychology of criminals, they realize that if this society is okay with things being run down this way, whether it's public transport, maintenance of buildings, maintenance of roads, then they will turn a blind eye to crime. And I think the growth of crime has been in tandem with the deterioration of public infrastructure in Kampala. Literally, all our streets are broken down. There are no pavements to walk about. There is no single stretch in Kampala for more than 2 kilometers that is lit every night. Not even the headquarters of KCCA where they sit have street lighting working 30 days straight. So
in front of
maybe before we even rush to blame the police, we should clean up our infrastructure. If we had functional roads with pavements and our streets were lit, people would feel much safer and criminals will feel unsafe in such an organized environment. What do you think?
So all that will go to budgeting, allocation of resources. That means things are not being done the right way.
Which is what he talked about, that a safe neighborhood is one where there's shared prosperity.
Yeah, so maybe perhaps we need to look into the policies, especially budgeting on employment. There's a high level of unemployment. If the youth are not employed, then it gives them a certain way of thinking. And these people, some people are inspired when they watch people who have a criminal mindset. And so this is possible. We can do this and get away with it. So as Frank says, sometimes security needs time to study the patterns, to understand. But then that takes, the more time you take, many people are falling victims of
the crime.
Yes.
All right. We'll take a short commercial break, and when we come back, more of this discussion.
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
Break, you're listening to 933 KFM. It's the Friday panel of journalists, and standing in for Andrew Mwenda is me, Kwezi Tabaru. Today in studio, I have Jimmy Achala Modoki, I have Christopher Okidi, I have Frank Mujimba, and we're discussing the major stories of the week. In the first segment, we did discuss the rising cases of criminality in the city, but we would like to shift our gaze to, if I was to borrow the words of NUP, criminality within the police in its conduct against NUP supporters. Police today once again blocked the National Unity Platform leaders led by the party president, that is the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu, and the leader of opposition in Parliament, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, at Sezwa Bridge in Mukono district. They were on their way to Palisa for the second phase of their nationwide tour. Today's incident follows an earlier in the week incident in Kamuli district in eastern Uganda, where the same group were blocked from meeting and addressing their supporters by the Uganda police. Before me, I have a tweet from the leader of opposition, Honorable Joel Senyonyi, saying, "Today we were blocked by the police and the military at Sezwa Bridge while on our way to Palisa in regard to the NUP countrywide tour. The police leadership has now written inviting us for a meeting on Monday, which we shall go for, and ask them to help us understand the double standards of how everyone else is doing political activities, but NUP is bad." Is the Honorable Joel Senyonyi in this case referring to one Colonel Dr. Kiza Besije, who on Wednesday, while NUP was being blocked in Kamuli, had a successful mobilization rally in Masaka, and today I understand he was in Busia, and he also had a successful mobilization study. What explains that?
I don't think that is, because they know even Besige's time
is this a game by the establishment?
First of all, remember that NUP had their first phase uninterrupted.
Well, interrupted by the police at some point, but on the allegation that there was hate speech at some of the rallies.
Yeah, I would say no, but that was actually the end of the first phase, because what they call hate speech happened in Lowero, and that was the conclusion of the first phase. So probably, maybe it is the same hate speech that they are trying, that police is trying to avoid. But one thing is the whole idea of I think government should allow political activities to engage, because we.
But government is saying those.
The opposition parties that are doing consultation, because they're resuscitating debate about this country's political development. One, consultations.
It's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. KFM's Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome to this last segment of the Friday edition of the Hot Seat. Standing in for Andrew Mwenda is me, Kwezi Tabaro, and in studio I have Jimmy Odoki Achalam, I have Frank Mujimba and Christopher Okidi, and we're discussing the major stories of the week. We will shift gears from Uganda to a neighbor in the region and across the world. President William Ruto was welcomed to the United States this week for a state visit. And the American government and President Biden have pulled out literally everything for the Kenyan president and his delegation, including an announcement of a partnership between Kenya and the United States that will designate Kenya as a major non-NATO ally. And this will result in the strengthening of security ties between the two countries. And equating them almost to NATO status. There's also the launching of the Nairobi-Washington vision to mobilize resources for countries saddled by debt, open opportunities for private sector financing, and promote better lending practices. As a result of this, an American company is going to invest in a major road project connecting Nairobi to Mombasa, which will be, I think, the longest toll road in the region. The two countries are also kickstarting a new era of technology cooperation to boost AI, semiconductor and cybersecurity partnerships and expand STEM education across East Africa. Then a number of goodies keep coming every now and then. Of course, lots of military aid flowing to Kenya. My question to you, Christopher, since you're interested in international affairs, is in all this, we see what the US is giving. What Kenya is giving is not so clear.
Yeah, because
that's the question.
No, Kenya is actually even giving more than the US.
Well, the US is stating clearly what it's giving, but no one is saying what Kenya is giving.
When you look at the geopolitics of the region, you have President Museveni, who is ambivalent in terms of his location, his location globally. Because President Museveni...
He's based in Uganda, in Rachtura.
No, he's based in Uganda. But in terms of international allies, he's both. He's ambivalent. He's both East and West. So you cannot rely on such a person when it comes to putting the interest. Of course, I also recognize the fact that Uganda and the US in terms have a security partnership over Somalia. Yes, but you also know very well that President Museveni also has partnership more than just that, which includes also other countries that he works with. And you know the Ugandan military is a very active military in the region. Yeah, when you look at Rwanda, who was looked at as...
Briefly, because we have a few minutes in this.
Yeah, Rwanda, that was looked at as an alternative, also has a lot of issues in terms of fomenting violence in Congo and all these other things. Makes so the US, if the US is going to eat with Rwanda, they have to use a long fork, because they say when you eat with the devil, use a long fork. So I'm sure they are using a long fork with Rwanda. And I'm saying not that they are not together. So Kenya has an oasis of democracy, therefore has a lot in terms of values that they share with the US. And the US needs Kenya, especially that the entire region is ambivalent in terms of...
But my question still goes unanswered, which is, yes, we know what the US is giving, military equipment, about 8 choppers of the Huey type that are going to be sent to Kenya. There's a possibility of the US and Kenya establishing a joint base in Kenya. Question is, what is Kenya giving?
Yeah, what Kenya is giving is first of all, Kenya in terms of values, you see, they are a democracy. Kenya is first of all giving a democracy to the US, saying that, you know, we share the same values, and we are the only one in the region that we...
Jimmy, what do you have to say about some quarters that have suggested that, you see, if President Obama had extended the same benefits to Kenya, he would have been accused of favoring his home country. So he used his former vice president, who happens to be president, to reward his father's homeland. He was at the dinner.
That's not far-fetched, because they could have been working from behind the scenes that do like this.
This is a good old case of favoritism.
Yes.
But on a rather serious note, President William Ruto, you're saying that President Yoweri Museveni is ambivalent, but I think President William Ruto in this term has been, I can't find the correct word, flippant on many issues. One day he's preaching Pan-Africanism and was wearing a counter suit, dismissing the IMF. And another day he's signing new deals with the same IMF. The other day he's in China, then he's in Turkey. Then he's complaining about being summoned to these Africa-Turkey summits.
At the beginning.
So
when he understood the nature and character of the Kenyan state, and he's got settled and understood Kenya's foreign policy.
So he has aligned with Washington.
He actually knew. That is why he said, I am not going to go to Russia to be lectured there. Or was it Russia or China? He did not attend. Yeah.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I think Uganda's had been like a favorite. But now there are issues, all the sanctions, this bill, our politics. And so I think the US is looking for
alternatives,
a more reliable partner in the region. Yeah.
So where does this leave Uganda? Are we out of favor, out in the cold?
It looks like Kenya is going to have an upper hand in terms of in the region dealing with the getting assistance and the US programs and all. It looks like Uganda is now not as
significant. Frank Mjimba, there used to be talk of a new breed of African leaders, amongst them President Yoweri Museveni, President Kagame. Are we now talking about a new breed of African leaders, starting with the Rutos and the others?
Kwez, what I think is that, first of all, it is about the 60 years of bilateral partnership between Kenya and Tanzania.
Between Kenya and the US?
Sorry, between Kenya and the US. Then you also...
Uganda also had the 60th anniversary.
Yes,
I didn't see President Museveni in Washington.
No, our chance is coming. So do not... the 60 years of partnership, then you can look at when there was...
They've been partners with Uganda for even longer because we received independence way before Kenya.
When you look at the last time when we had a state visit, when a Kenyan president had a state visit with the USA president, that I think was about 2008. So you find that maybe the relationship has been fading, and you find that even Joe Biden has not received any what you would call an African state visit during his term since when he came to power. So
and that he's about to lose power. He felt he didn't want to.
He's about to lose power. So I really think this was really necessary, and it's going to work for Kenya to renew those relations.
Where does it leave Uganda in a minute, Olo?
I think Uganda, you know how these Westerners play what I would call African countries. So today it is Kenya, and tomorrow you'll find it will be Uganda. So we just wait for our chance.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, and to you, our dear listeners. Thank you for being such wonderful listeners. Have a good night and enjoy your Friday.